Cutting your sales cycle in half sounds pretty impossible, right? But that's exactly what Sandler Trading did with HubSpot. They used Breeze, HubSpot's AI tools, to tailor every customer interaction without losing their personal touch. And the results were pretty incredible. Click-through rates jumped 25%, qualified leads quadrupled, and people spent 3 times longer on their landing pages. You can go to HubSpot.com to see how Breeze can help your business grow. Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, June 5th. I'm John Weigell here with Juliet, Bennett, Ryla, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. So apparently sitting in a dark room for 4 days straight is the latest thing rich people are doing for fun. Tech workers and celebrities are dropping nearly $2,000 to lock themselves away with zero stimulation, and some are loving it. So does this business have a clear path forward, or is this just a fad? We'll get to that in a bit, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech. Starting off today, Warner Bros. Discovery shareholders rejected CEO David Zaslav's pay package in a largely symbolic vote. Zaslav, who made $51.9 million in 2024 and will likely still get a nice raise this year, will probably be just fine. Next up here, McDonald's is bringing its snack wrap back on July 10th after nixing them in 2016 due to franchisees complaining that they were too time-consuming to make. Fans, however, love them, and McDonald's is dealing with declining sales. So here we are, everybody. From there, we hit the roads. Uber is getting old in quite a good way by expanding its senior citizen-specific accounts across 10 countries, including in the US. Uber's senior accounts have a streamlined interface, larger typeface, fewer buttons, and simpler instructions, and allow a designated caregiver to book rides and track movements if needed. The accessibility win follows the launch of Lyft Senior, which is pretty much the same thing, but with additional accessible vehicle options and bot-free customer service lines. Neither service addresses seniors' biggest pain point, though. All drivers have to stop mumbling and speak up, for the love of God. And our last update here is a special feature. We can reveal today that HubSpot is officially the first CRM to launch a deep research connector with ChatGPT. Over 75% of HubSpot customers already use ChatGPT, making this a major collaboration between the two companies. The tool is called the HubSpot Deep Research Connector, and it's a massive breakthrough in allowing teams to tackle research and create insights across marketing, sales, and service. The HubSpot Deep Research Connector will automatically be available to HubSpot customers across all tiers who have a paid ChatGPT license. That's Enterprise, Team, Pro, Plus, or EDU. And if you're a HubSpot admin, you can enable the HubSpot Deep Research Connector by turning on Deep Research in ChatGPT, connecting to HubSpot as a data source, and authenticating your account. Once enabled, users can simply toggle it on, sign in with their HubSpot credentials, and start asking questions. And if you don't have a HubSpot account, you can get HubSpot CRM for free right now. Okay, look, side hustles fail when they consume all of your time. I mean, every single bit of it. The pros, though, work smarter with AI doing all the heavy lifting. To help you out, we just dropped the Side Hustle Accelerator database. You can search your exact problem for your side hustle, grab the perfect prompt, and get results. If you're struggling with marketing, content, and customer service, it's all solved in just seconds. This isn't just another tool, guys. It's your unfair advantage in a spreadsheet. So stop asking AI the wrong questions and start scaling with what actually works. You can get it for free in the link in our show notes. And you can stop right now, actually. Why don't you take a look down at those show notes and tap the link. You don't want to sleep on this. Now, on to our main story today. We're talking darkness retreats. So, Juliet, can you tell me more about this trend?
Yes, these are darkness retreats, and they are exactly what they sound like. Spending time alone with absolutely no distractions and no light, no sound, just sitting in the dark for, in this case, about 4 days, 4 nights. But some people have actually stayed in the dark for longer as part of a spiritual practice. That's not who we're talking about, though.
Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of people are pretty into this as a thing that they could possibly do. It seems like the new fad. So they sit in a room and just are there and are given food. Is that the situation for a few days?
Yes. So I read a couple accounts of what these are like. There's a great article in Wired about this. And then I also read an article from last year from Outside where a guy did one of these retreats. And essentially, a lot of them are focusing on one retreat in Oregon called Sky Cave, because there's not too many of these in the United States. There are a bunch, about 100 around the world, according to Wired, but only 5 in the United States. And this one seems to be the most prominent.
Mm-hmm.
At this place, you essentially go into a room. You have a bed, a toilet, and a bath. So you have everything that you need in like an efficiency apartment, essentially. Meals are delivered to you through a hatch in the door, which preserves the darkness. But I mean, other than mealtime, you're not interacting with anyone else. And in this room, there is absolutely no light. Obviously, you have no electronics. You don't have your phone. There is no music. It's just you and the dark. So you will be able to bathe and go to the bathroom and sleep. But other than that, there's nothing in this room, just you.
Okay. Sounds eerily similar to prison, it seems.
Yes. I was actually thinking about how similar to jail it feels, with the exception of the fact that in jail, the light is, at least in my experience, always on.
Yeah, always on, always there.
Yeah. Always on.
Yeah. So it sounds like some people are getting into this too. And you mentioned an NBA player that was pretty down for it as well.
Yeah, Dwight Howard apparently has described this as the best thing he's ever done. The reporter from Outside actually seemed to also like it, Tim Neville. I was reading in his bio, he does all sorts of things. Like, put him in an adventure situation, he'll do it. He actually seemed to really enjoy this. I read his whole account, and initially he was very scared. A lot of accounts of these types of retreats talk about how, I guess, humans just have this primal fear of the dark, probably because we can't see in it. So since the beginning of time, we've been afraid of this, this thing.
Right.
But as the days went on for Tim, first he was bored. Then he started hallucinating, which apparently is very common.
Okay.
And he left with a sense of fulfillment. And his wife told him that he seemed a lot more tranquil afterward. He talked a lot about memories surfacing for him while he was in there and just like realizations about past events. It seemed like it was very meditative to just be alone with his thoughts for 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, it seems quite similar to a sensory deprivation tank, but without the, I guess, added sensory deprivation. But just being in a dark room locked with your own thoughts, it's been appealing, it looks like. I guess the appeal there is just being disconnected and being alone for a certain amount of time, which you're not ever really these days.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I also immediately thought of the sensory deprivation tank. I've only done that one time, the thing where they put you in the pod with the salt. And it's nice because you're just floating in salt. It's the perfect temperature. But in my case, there were other senses. There was a light on and I had the option to play music. So it wasn't a full sensory deprivation tank like I thought it was. And then when I got there, I was like, oh, it's just a salt pod. That was cool. And that was meditative. And I really do think there is something to being bored, something that we never are. I have found that I get a lot of my best ideas these days if I do something like go to a sound bath or get a massage, something where I truly can't be on my phone, but I also can't do anything else and I can't talk.
You can only think.
Right. I feel like the thoughts come, and not in the same way as like when you're falling asleep. It's different. So I get this. It's just interesting because it's another one of those things where it is a spiritual practice for some cultures. And now it's like, we're going to see these and they're going to be like bougie. They're going to be like Equinox style.
Right. And it's going to be here, as you reported, upwards of almost $2,000 for a few nights.
Yeah, which is interesting because honestly, not a bad business idea. I'm sure there are some safety requirements. You're going to have medical staff.
Yeah.
Somebody who can deal with someone who has a breakdown after being in the dark for 4 days. But in terms of overhead, it's actually a lot cheaper than some of the other things that we've talked about that are wellness fads right now. Saunas and steam rooms, for example, we just talked about those.
Right.
Those are a lot more difficult to maintain and clean. This is essentially just a really dark room.
Yeah.
And food.
Easy to maintain. Can't even see the interior. Don't even know if it's nice or not.
No, and I was looking at pictures and it was very bare bones. Like, it wasn't unpleasant. But I mean, in terms of you're just sitting in the dark, yeah, you need a comfy bed and, working facilities. And obviously, I would assume that you are eating pretty nutritious food, probably like a lot of rice and beans and, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But compared to some of the other retreats that people go on, this honestly seems very simple to pull off.
Yeah, very simple and still expensive. But I guess if you're into that thing, you can go do it now.
Yeah. And also, My first thought was, why don't you just do drugs?
That's possible.
Like,
listen,
why don't you just do ayahuasca if you want to sit with yourself and hallucinate? I think that's like a great way to get there.
Yeah, this did sound like an ayahuasca retreat to me. It was minus the drugs. You could also walk into your own room and turn your lights off and sit there and leave your phone outside of the room for a few days and see how you like it. And then maybe upgrade to this.
You could do that. But, the difference, I think, as I am also working on a story about ayahuasca retreats is they're not legal here. They're legal in South America, but they're not legal in the United States.
Right.
Sitting in the dark, weird, but perfectly legal.
Very legal. You can do it at any time you want. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of Hubspot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you later. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this great podcast lately. You got to check it out. It's called Content is Profit. It's hosted by Louise and Fonzie Camejo, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So in this podcast, you can discover the secrets and strategies on how your business can achieve the frictionless sale. We talk about frameworks, strategies, tactics, and bring special guests to bring you all the information you need in order to turn your content into profit. Recently, they did a whole episode on micro creators and UGC and how those things are transforming the social media industry, especially for profit. They had a guest on, William Gassner, who is the co-founder of Stack Influence. So definitely check that episode out if you want to learn more about the social media landscape as it is currently. You can listen to Content as Profit wherever you get your podcasts.